Tampa Bay just didn't take advantage when they could have. I mean, it was really that simple. They just didn't score when they were able to. Their offense that's been really good this year just was not in this game. A very weird game, though.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
White Shirt Friday.
Apparently, yes. Apparently. And it's not like a white flag kind of a thing either. Like, we're not surrendering to anyone. We just happen to wear white t-shirts at the same time. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We're so close to 8,700 subscribers. So subscribe there, like our videos, and hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. On today's show, we will preview the rest of the weekend. We did a preview for Thursday's show, but in case you didn't see or listen to Thursday's show, we're going to tell you about the rest of the matchups for the weekend against the Rays. It's Fan Mail Friday. We'll answer your burning Yankee questions. But first, this game could have gone really badly, and it didn't.
I chalked it up in my head as a loss, honestly, early on, especially once Warren was out of this game in the second inning. I was like, all right, they're going to lose this game. This is going to kill the bullpen. It's kind of felt that way. Mm-hmm. This game felt like 8-3 loss written all over it. It really did early on, and they battled, stuck in there. They really wound up not killing the bullpen as much as you thought they would. Mm-hmm. If you would have, I think if this game was played in the 70s or 80s, Devin Williams would have had to pitch drunk because one of those players in the bullpen would have decided to start drinking at that point in the game because that's what they did back then. And, down that many runs and that early, just was a weird game. And Tampa Bay just didn't take advantage when they could have. I mean, it was really that simple. They just didn't score when they were able to. Their offense that's been really good this year just was not in this game. A very weird game, though.
Yeah, the Yankees had opportunities to blow the game open in the first inning. They didn't. Then they were pretty much shut down innings 2 through 4 until the fifth. And it felt like one of those games. As soon as Warren came out, 1 2/3 innings, he only gave up the 1 run, but he just couldn't get people out.
Couldn't throw strikes either.
He couldn't throw strikes. He was at 53 pitches in 1 2/3 innings. And they were probably just like, all right, let's just take him out, get him ready for the next start.
Decision.
I didn't really either. And we spoke about the series with the Royals, how that went and how the bullpen wasn't used as much as you were just imagining in your head. What if Carrasco has a bad start? What if any other person has a bad start? And what if the bullpen is used too much? So today's scenario is what we thought could have happened against the Royals, but it still wasn't a bad thing for them because I'll give Boone credit. He did a great job with the bullpen.
Yeah, to piggyback off your point, too, it also kind of shows the importance of the bullpen not being used as much in the Royals series because it's all a trickle-down effect. Now, if the bullpen gets used more than you'd like to in the Royals series, you're not going to be as quick to go to the bullpen in this game. You're going to let Warren try and stick it out, and then he likely leaves a pitch over the middle of the plate, and the guy hits it out for a grand slam, and then it's 5-1 early on, and it's like, all right, now you feel like you're out of this game.
Right.
All those things are trickle-down effects, so, again, the pitching being as good as it was in the Royals series really wound up helping them out in this game a lot. Let's be real. The Yankees did not, early on, from the way they showed up to the ballpark, it seemed like they were a little too comfortable in Tampa. Maybe a lot of them slept in their own houses or their own condos that are still on lease after spring training. Who the heck knows? But a lot of them felt a little too comfortable getting in there, and they started this game off, even though they scored the run in the first inning, they started this game off pretty sluggish until they picked it up later on. So, all these things that we discussed wind up helping a lot. This is a win, though. We do discuss a lot the, aggravation of certain things not being taken too seriously when it's this early on in the season. Let them play. Why is Dominguez coming out of games? All that kind of stuff. But like we've also kind of like, we're almost contradicting ourselves, but it's the truth. These games still do count, Stacey. They still do count as 1 of 162. And like we said, this is going to be a 2 to 4 game lead in the division for whoever wins the division later on in the year. These games matter. They do. So this is a really solid win for them.
Yeah. as you said, first inning, they scored the 1 run. They probably could have scored more.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys kind of ruined that whole thing from happening. And they, Bradley looked like he was pushed to a point where maybe they could get to him in the first, and then he recovered, and then he had those 3 innings where he was fine, and then they really broke through in the 5th and 6th. They scored 5 runs combined. Oswaldo Cabrera with the solo shot to really get things going. Ben Rice, 4 for 4, his first 4-hit game. He just, after a kind of off night against the Royals, had a really amazing game. He was the player of the game. They interviewed him on Yes. He just looks like a completely different player at the plate this year.
He actually finished 4 for 5, which there was a funny notion
4
to that
for 5.
because,
that's right.
Because Michael Kay mentioned that would aggravate Paul O'Neill.
Right.
The 4 hits weren't good enough.
That's right. He grounded to first in his last at bat. Yeah.
But you could just tell he's a lot more confident. But the way he hits the ball now, Stacey, I mean, he hits the bleep out of it. He gets everything out of every piece of contact he makes.
Yeah.
He hits the ball so damn hard now. So you got to be happy for a guy like Rice. Peraza made a great play in the 9th inning to get the guy out at second base. I mean, what an unbelievable play, covering a lot of ground there. I'm sure the Yankees will reward him by sitting him tomorrow. Because by play Peraza full time. And then another thing that really bothered me too was, again, in a 3-run lead, Dominguez coming out late in this game. We're going to keep saying it in every game that they keep doing this. I don't know how a young player gains confidence in themselves when you keep doing this to them, but they're going to keep running by that same mantra. I'll never understand it. I really won't.
Yeah. Jazz Chisholm was thrown out by the home plate umpire. He was bad for both teams. Like, the Yankees got calls that I was like Tim Hill got a couple of strike calls that were clearly balls, and then it went the other way where the Yankees got screwed on a few calls. So Jazz got called.
That call was bad on Jazz, though.
But it was a makeup call from the previous call that wasn't But why are you doing that? So he threw his bat toward home plate. He was yelling, so of course he got thrown out. And then he got on Twitter and tweeted this.
I didn't see this yet, actually. I mean, I get where he's coming from.
Wait. If you're not watching on YouTube, it's a tweet that he tweeted at 9:24 p.m. So while the game was still happening, he was in the clubhouse tweeting on his phone.
Yeah.
And it said, "Not even effing close." I blurted out so people couldn't see what it said, but I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, imagine being able to get comments from players mid-game back in the day. Really a different thing.
So that's why Peraza was put into the game. And of course, as soon as he's put into the game, the ball gets hit right to him. It's a crazy play. He makes I keep saying, he can play second if they need him to, and they needed him to in those last couple of innings after Jazz got thrown out unceremoniously. And as you said, I'm assuming he'll be sitting.
Yeah,
I mean,
they'll reward him by sitting.
Too,
they'll reward him by sitting him tomorrow. I don't think it does depend on the matchup, because they play Cabrera more than Peraza regardless of what the matchup is. So I actually don't know if it matters with the matchup, to be honest with you. But he had a really good play there late in that game. Again, I get Jazz being aggravated. You got to be able to control your emotions a little better than that, though. I mean,
I think he's just frustrated with his performance overall, and that kind of pushed him over the edge. Maybe
that's a good point, because he is hitting under 180 still. His power numbers have been there, but it's really only been power for him. His average hasn't gotten there. The low averages don't bother me as a fan that much yet, just because it's so early. This is the equivalent of a bad 2-week stretch in the middle of July that no one notices when it happens in the middle of July, but you notice it now because it's the start of the season. But you're right. It was a clear makeup call from the call prior. He should have struck out looking the call, the prior. He gets away with the call there, and the umpire makes it up. Doesn't make it right, but to react like that, and then he's going to get a suspension too, by the way, because he tossed the helmet back towards home plate also.
Oh, the helmet, yeah.
So he's going to get a suspension for that too, because you're not allowed to do that. So it just not a great way of acting too. I'm actually surprised Boone kept his cool in that situation, actually.
Yeah, because the ump got into it with Cash. I think it was the bottom of the first. I think it was really quickly into the game where he was not liking the strike zone, and it was a problem. all game.
I will say, if you notice this during the game, because of Steinbrenner Field, and I guess because there's not a lot of ambient noise, because there's only 10,000 people there, and because there's no upper deck, and there's no, a lot of stuff going around, you can really hear a lot of stuff going on, like chants in the crowd, and you can really hear, managers arguing and players screaming and stuff like that. You really hear it a lot more. I guess because in a major league stadium, you just have a lot more ambient noise, a lot more stuff going on in the background. But you heard a lot of situations where, like,
and the press
when
box is further away from the field in a major league stadium.
When Judge was up, a lot of times there was a guy in the building chanting overrated, which, weird to be chanting when the average up there is like 410, but whatever. It's just a lot of situations where they were chanting different things, and it's like, wow, like you could really hear it, like a lot.
Yeah, it felt like a spring training game in that sense. So the bullpen, Yarbrough, 2 2/3 innings. He gave up 2 runs, but considering what he came into, fine. Hill, 2 innings. Hamilton, 1 2/3. Devin Williams, another 1, 2, 3 to close it out. So he's looking like he's getting his act together.
Up. Yeah, he's figuring things out clearly.
Yeah, so really good win. Again, when your pitcher is taken out before the second inning even ends, your starter, you're thinking, oh, goodness, this is going to not be great. And it actually was. I was impressed with how the Yankees won that game.
Shocked how the Rays couldn't score, though. Their offense has been so good all year. Alarming that they couldn't score at all. You got to think a team like that, it's licking their chops early on in that game when the Yankees just, everything's going wrong for them. Found a way to win. Good teams do that.
Yep. All right. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. We send out the lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There is a 14-day free trial. Coming up, it's Fan Mail Friday. We'll be answering your burning questions about the Yankees next.
Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. And whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with the freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale my business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now to post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
All right. So if you're new to the show, we do Fan Mail Friday every Friday. During the off season, it's more because there's a lot of questions to be answered during the off season. And during the season, it's not as big an event, but you can still be part of it. We leave pinned comments on YouTube Monday through Thursday. You can ask questions there, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, which I talked about at the end of segment 1. And every week we start off with the insiders. They get top priority during Fan Mail Friday, and we always start with Betty. So here is Betty's question. What are each of your predictions, this is interesting, for the AL East standings at the All-Star break?
Yeah, good question, because I think we both had the Red Sox leading a lot of the division this year when it comes to their talent and what they did in the offseason. Right now, with the way they're playing and the way they're pitching, I got to say it's the Yankees that should be at the top. I think right now the Yankees are the best team in the American League. Not just record-wise, obviously they are record-wise, but overall, I think they're the best team in the American League. They're just playing that way.
And run differential wise too.
Yeah, like there's a lot of evidence out there statistically that just shows they're the best team in the American League right now. I gotta say right now it's probably the Yankees. I think the most surprising thing, Betty, is the fact that the Orioles are as bad as they are. Yeah. I mean, they are not playing good baseball and they cannot pitch. It's a problem there. And I'll tell you this, Stacey, with the lack of starting pitching they have, it's going to get late early there. And there's going to be a lot of people talking a lot of smack about the Baltimore Orioles come All-Star break time.
I think if the Yankees can stay healthy and some guys start hitting, they can be leading at the All-Star break.
I think, too, a key thing, if they keep getting this production out of the youth in their lineup, it'll stay like this, which is a tall test. Asking Ben Rice to hit like this the rest of the year is tough. Asking Jason Dominguez to play this well, it's not. They're getting a lot of contribution out of young players. Austin Wells is playing really well. It's a lot of contribution. Also, you're asking Paul Goldschmidt to hit 360 going into July. That's an unrealistic expectation too. But
no, but I mean,
so far so good.
The two guys who aren't hitting, Chisholm and Bellinger, if they just get their averages from under 200 to around like 220, 230 and start hitting the ball just a little more, and the rest of the guys even out because I mean, Aaron Judge is amazing. I don't think he's going to be batting like 420 the rest of the season because that's hasn't happened. So thank you for the question, Betty.
Yeah, David F has the next question. David says for Fan Mail Friday, hey guys, what is the decision-making process for internal personnel decisions? Insiders rule. Well, I'd agree with you. Insiders do rule. We thank you guys. We thank you very much. What does he mean by this? Does he mean like coaching stuff? Does he mean by player transactional stuff? Well, I'm confused by the question.
I'm not actually sure about this one. I think I was thinking more like the GM making personnel decisions. I'm thinking personnel meaning players meaning, right? Because that's what I interpreted.
So from my understanding, every team operates a completely different way.
Right.
I think the Yankees and actually really enough the Mets now operate very similarly, where if it's a big time player where you're talking bongo bucks, crazy money, multiple hundreds of millions of dollars of deals, the owner generally gets involved with those negotiations. Yeah. Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, Hal Steinbrenner was involved directly with both of those negotiations. Those were his to take care of. When it comes to other stuff, trades, prospects moving around, smaller deals, I think that is left to Brian Cashman. And different organizations operate differently. But I think that is mostly left to Brian Cashman of, you go, here's your budget, here's the money I'm giving you, you go operate into the parameters that you want to operate in. He kind of has full trust when it comes to that organization. So that's the place you kind of want to be in when it comes to GM, is where you have full trust to go do whatever you want. There's a lot of other teams in baseball where the owner just says, you have $15 million to spend, have fun. And then there's not much flexibility when it comes to that.
Right. Thank you for the question, David. Next one, last one from our insiders, is from Eric S. He asks, are you nervous about Judge playing next year in the WBC? I hold my breath when a Yankee is in the WBC. Now, I don't blame you, Eric S., because we all remember what happened to Mark Teixeira when he basically ripped his wrist off in the WBC and it messed up his entire season. So I understand having PTSD from that. But I thought the WBC, this last one, was amazing. Like, especially that last at bat between Ohtani and Trout was like one of the best things I've ever seen in the history of baseball. Like, it was so exciting for a game that was played in March. It felt like a game 7 of the World Series at bat. And I kind of hope that this next WBC has the same kind of atmosphere, because that was really a lot of fun.
Who doesn't want to see Yamamoto versus Judge in a big spot, or Ohtani versus Judge in a big spot? Of course you do. No, I'm not as worried. Sometimes it gets more magnified when a player does get injured in the WBC. Like, again, when Diaz, Mark Teixeira, because it's an annoyance and aggravation, but this doesn't happen as often. It doesn't happen all the time. So it does get magnified. And if Judge does, God forbid, get hurt, we're going to knock on wood right now, a year in advance. Yes, it'll be aggravating, but I'm not worried or concerned. I'm more optimistic and looking forward to it, because, again, it'll be a lot of fun to, watch Judge go against Yamamoto in a big spot, or, watching at bat of Paul Skeens versus Ohtani early on in the game. That'll be really cool to see. So yeah, no, I'm not that worried. So this question, our last one, which is going to be a YouTube question, comes from Rivka Meiselman, who is a girl. And she says, I received on-field passes to an upcoming Yankees-Orioles game at Camden Yards. I'm so excited I can hardly breathe. My question is, what is the etiquette for that situation? Can I just chase down any Yankee I see and blabber incoherently about how much I love them? What's better to ask for, a signed baseball or a selfie? Do I need to act my age? Parentheses, old. I'm sure it's not that old. What if I start crying or something or fainting? Or at the same time? Please advise. I have a lot of things I can answer here.
I've never been in that situation. I've never had the chance to, I was never part of that season ticket event where people take pictures with the Yankees on the field at Yankee Stadium. And I've never really had this situation come up. I think if you can, I think I'd rather get a selfie.
You're not going to be able to chase them down.
No, you can't chase them down.
You're not going to get close enough to them.
They'll have a barrier there where you can,
Yeah. You're probably going to be like fenced in by like some rope or something where like you're not allowed to move to certain places. Yeah. I would not blabber about how much you love them. Those are her words, not mine. I don't think they are people that will make them uncomfortable more than likely. Especially if you're a grown woman. I don't think they'll appreciate that. My advice, selfie over baseball. You'll remember the selfie way longer and you'll appreciate the selfie way more than a sign ball. You really will. Do you need to act your age? Yeah. Should you start crying? No. What I will say, here's some bold advice. Fainting, good idea. If you faint on the field, you'll be on SportsCenter that night for sure. Likely the Yankees will feel bad and give you more merchandise, more memorabilia. I'm sure imagine the image of her fainting and Aaron Judge catching her fall. Pretty cool. That's a lifelong memory. So fainting might not be the worst. If you can faint on command, not the worst idea ever. I don't hate that. Bold strategy, but I wouldn't hate that idea ever. But you'll have fun, enjoy yourself, act like a regular person. They are normal people.
Yes, I would agree with that.
They're just normal people with a lot more money than us.
Yeah. But have fun. That sounds like fun. All right, exactly. Coming up, previewing the rest of the series against the Rays in Steinbrenner Field. Next.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. That's right. Check out the Locked On Yankees postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. You get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. Stacey, like you mentioned, the game 2, 3, and 4 will be live from Steinbrenner Field. The Yankees will take on the Rays. A Rays team that scored a lot of runs this year, but could not figure out how to score against the Yankees in game 1. And it feels like the Yankees have sort of an advantage going forward here. Game 2 will be later on tonight, 7:05 on Yes. It'll be Carlos Rodón, who's 1-3 with a 5.48 ERA. He'll get Drew Rasmussen, who's 1-0 with a .60 ERA. Not a great matchup, but I look for Rodón to bounce back. He's had 2 starts now where he's unraveled, and it's got to be in his head in a weird way of his unraveling. But like you said yesterday, he's got to figure this out. It's put up or shut up. He needs to be great for them. That's simple as that. They need him. They're going to go partially as far as Rodón will let them. So he's going to need to have a really strong season, and it starts here.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about, we didn't see it as much on Thursday night, but the ball tends to fly out of Steinbrenner Field. And I'm a little afraid with how Rodón pitches sometimes that we're going to see something happen. I hope not.
Quite frankly, we did see it on the Cabrera home run. That ball was a line drive that just flew out of the stadium. So it was 84 degrees at first pitch on Thursday. And there was a good point actually made by Todd Frazier in this game, who was doing the color commentary with Michael Kay. You get used to playing in the cold weather, and this is a Yankee team that's played in New York, Detroit, Pittsburgh, not exactly warm weather cities. And then you send them down to Tampa, where this is by far their warmest game of the year so far.
Yeah.
Guys aren't exactly accustomed to yet, pitching where their hands a little more sweaty when gripping the ball at this point, and, not needing all these extra layers of clothing. You're a little more accustomed to pitching with a colder baseball and a colder atmosphere out there. Now all of a sudden it's warm out. A little bit of a different feel. So we'll see what Rodón is able to do. But again, like you said, he's going to need to bounce back. He's one of their best pitchers, and he has to be that this year for them to be successful.
Yeah, we'll see how the offense does against a guy who has a 0.60 ERA. Saturday's start is 4:10. Also on Yes, and that is Carlos Carrasco against Shane Baz. Carrasco is 2-1 with a 5.94 ERA. Baz is 2-0 with a 1.42 ERA. So the Yankees don't have it's not getting easier for the offense as the series goes on.
Curious to see how many people are watching this game past the third inning, because the Knick game, not the third, I'll say the fifth. The Knick game starts at 6 p.m. And that's right. Knicks game 1 against the Pistons. I have a hard time believing a lot of Yankee fans are going to stick with Yankees Rays from Steinbrenner Field over Knicks playoffs.
Right, yeah.
So I got to be honest with you, Yankees Rays will move to the iPad.
Yeah.
The TV will get the Knick game.
Yeah, I think the TV would get the Knick game, and my computer will have the Yankees Rays game. No offense. We'll
still be watching, but
yeah,
not the same.
And then the final game of the series, a 1:40 start, so not that far off from how the Yankees start, because their Sunday starts are 1:35, and that would be the ace of the staff, Max Fried, who is 3-0 with a 1.98 ERA against Ryan Pepio, who is 1-2 with a 4.91 ERA.
Yeah, good. Actually, really good start for Max Fried so far. They're 4-0 in his starts, under a 2 ERA. He's struck out over 5 in every single start he's had so far. He's been electric. He's been great for them. Everything you could possibly have asked for out of Max Fried. Getting to the point where you're a little excited for his starts. He's one of those guys that you want to watch pitch. He's been that good. So they've already got a 1-0 lead in this series. Good chance to that bare minimum split. And like we said, this is what you want. 4-game series, you want splits. 3-game series, you want wins. That's what you aim for in the season. This game 1 was massive for them, because this easily could have been a loss.
I really, no offense to Will Warren, but once he came out, or it's not even offense to him, no offense to the Yankees, but once Will Warren was taken out after only getting 5 outs, I was like, all right, so I guess they're going to lose the first game of the series, and maybe they'll be able to pick it up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's exactly how I felt.
And then, as we said, 14 base runners for the Rays in the first 5 innings, and they only scored 3. So
I was keeping track of the gambling line. I like to see where they set it and everything. And the Yankees were heavy underdogs when Yarbrough came in with the bases loaded and 1 out. Heavy underdogs to lose that game, and they got out of it. So I still can't believe they won that game. They really didn't play well enough to win. Early on, they didn't play well enough to win, I'll say. There might be a point, too. They might have just been too comfortable and relaxed. They did get in late last night, apparently, into Tampa. But a lot of them have places down there. A lot of them, I'm sure they have a hotel they stay in, but I'm sure a lot of them, if they want to go stay in their house down there, they're also welcome to go do that, too. So who knows what they were doing last night? They did get in late too, probably not a lot of sleep and stuff. Sluggish start, but to get the win out of this game. Again, this is what we said earlier, though. This is what good teams do, Stacey. Good teams win games like this, where you look at them in the start of the game and you're like, go look at the Dodgers box scores every night. They start off games where they're down 2-3-0, and you're like, how did they come back and win that game? And they just figured out and do it.
Yeah.
So that's what good teams have to do.
Yeah. This you mentioned the sluggish start. I am always reminded of one of the games where the Yankees were so sluggish and they literally didn't do anything until the top of the ninth. Was that game against the Cubs where Brett Gardner hit that home run in the top of the ninth to put them ahead after they did basically nothing all game? Mm-hmm. That's the game I always think of the Yankees being really sluggish and then suddenly like literally waking up at the
down
last
the
minute
right field line. I remember that game very well.
Yeah,
actually.
and then ending up winning that game. Yeah, so that's always in my mind when I hear of sluggish and Yankees for some reason. There you go. Well, thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Can I say MLB one more time? Let's do it. MLB. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you next week.